Hi, I'm Raylene, and welcome to Khaleesi Clues. In this video, I will be discussing a mysterious character only known so far as Coldhands. And actually, I will be revealing the true identity for two mystery characters, but the second one will not be revealed until the end of my video. There is actually going to be about 4 sections to my video. First things first, I need to give a brief warning for possible spoilers, followed by a general description of the characters. Then I will be revealing Coldhand's true identity. And then last, I will be providing the clues that help support my theory. So let's get started. Section 1. I want to warn everyone that I may pull clues from any source that is A Song of Ice and Fire related. That includes any books or TV series, both old and new. I also want to let everyone know that this is only a theory of who I believe is the true identity for Coldhands. That does not mean that I cannot be wrong, but in this case, I strongly believe that I am correct. So this is the last warning. If you really do not want to possibly be spoiled by my theory, and I really truly think you will be, then please do not watch this particular video. On the other hand, if you really want to know who Coldhands is, then definitely watch this entire video. Section 2. Coldhands in the Game of Thrones TV series is a little different from the Coldhands that we have in the books. In the Game of Thrones series, Coldhands first appears in Season 6 when he saves Mira and Bran from the Whites after their escape from the Three-Eyed Raven's cave. He later reveals that he is actually Uncle Benjen Stark and that he had been left to die after fighting with the White Walkers. He claims that he was rescued by the Children of the Forest, who plunged a piece of dragonglass into his heart, which, I don't know, the last time they did that, it didn't seem like it turned out too well for them. The vision Bran had was that it ended up creating the Night King, and he definitely doesn't seem like he's on good terms with his creators, so why would they even try to do that again? It seems a little suspicious to me, but anyways, at least that's his story and he's sticking to it. He is portrayed as a hero in the show, and later we presume that he dies saving Jon Snow from the attacking Whites. Now, in the books, Coldhands makes his first appearance in the Samwell, chapter 46, in A Storm of Swords. He saves Sam, Gilly, and her baby from more dreaded Whites. He escorts them back to the Wall, which is where he then picks up his storyline with Brandon Stark, Mira, Odor, Jojen, and Summer. Then, in A Dance with Dragons, he escorts Bran and company north to the Three-Eyed Raven's cave. Once again, he is last seen fighting many Whites, and his fate is left unknown at this time. I know that is a very brief description of the character, and it may feel as if there really are not that many clues as to who his true identity may be. But you may be a bit surprised at how many clues I have actually found that support my theory. But I will get into that in a little bit because not everyone likes all of the details. Section 3. I have pretty much known who Coldhands really is since the year 2020. I have always thought about making a video about this, but held back mostly because I feel guilty. George R.R. Martin has put so much into creating these stories, and it really makes me feel bad when I think about the fact that I may be spoiling all of his hard work. On the other hand, this is just my thoughts and opinions, and I could possibly be completely wrong, but I really don't think I am. This theory is something I have only told my mother. I've never even shared this with my husband because I didn't want to spoil it for him. I mean, my mom is my sound-off board for all of my theories, but That just goes to show you how quiet I have kept this theory. I just really feel guilty. So I'm just going to blurt it out and get it over with, and then provide you with some of the clues that back it up. So who do you think this mystery Night's Watchman could possibly be? It's definitely not Uncle Benjamin, as the show led some to believe. It's actually Sir Duncan the Tall. I'm so sorry to say it, but it's true. It's Sir Duncan the Tall. I know there's going to be a lot of people that disagree, and I know I'm not the first person to ever claim that Sir Duncan is Coldhands, but maybe I will be the first person that provides the clues that proves once and for all that Coldhands truly is Sir Duncan the Tall. The absolute only reason I have decided to go ahead and make this video is due to the fact that I believe the current series, A Knight of the Seven Kingdoms, is actually going to spoil this mystery anyways. Section 4. Let me go over some of the clues that provide backup for this theory. I will not be able to cover all of the clues I have found over the years, and believe me, there are plenty. I have printed out over 100 full pages of text notes that I have written to my mom, which span over the past 6 years. Clue number 1. The first novella George R. Martin published about Sir Duncan the Tall was titled The Hedge Knight and was released in August of 1998. Shortly after that, George R. Martin introduces the character Coldhands to the story in A Storm of Swords, which was published in August of 2000. George R. Martin created the character Sir Duncan the Tall somewhere between the time of writing A Clash of Kings and A Storm of Swords. The characters really came to life for him, and the story was published in the Legends Anthology. I believe that is why there really is no mention of either character prior to those dates. These are characters that grew along with the story as it was being written, and George R. Martin found a way to include Sir Duncan in the current storyline. Clue number 2. The titles for the novellas alone are even clues connecting Sir Duncan the Tall and Coldhands. The word hedge in the title, The Hedge Knight, ties in not only descriptively for Dunk, because as we know, he is a hedge knight, but it also ties in with him later as Coldhands because of his close relationship with Bloodraven, who is trapped in the roots of the weirwood tree. Hedges are walls created from bushes or trees. Duncan not only is as tall as a tree, but has also been referred to as being thick as a castle wall. Then we also have the novella titled The Mystery Knight, where Duncan enters a tourney as a mystery knight, and later, as the character Coldhands, he literally becomes a possible mystery knight's watchman. And just a special note on that, the clothing that Coldhands wears are described as being dressed in the mottled blacks and grays of the Night's Watch, in combination of his location north of the wall, and referring to Sam as brother does not necessarily mean he is part of the Night's Watch. Last we know of Sir Duncan is that he is Kingsguard, which means that he would be dressed in all white. But it wouldn't take long for all white clothing to turn filthy dirty or grayish black, considering he may have been wearing the same clothing for the past 40 years. Clue number 3. Let's address the statement that Leif says to Bran when he arrives at the Three-Eyed Raven cave. Bran, Odor, and Mira have made it to safety inside the cave. Bran, being concerned about Coldhands, who was last seen fighting the Whites, looks to Leif and says, The ranger. Leaf tells him he cannot enter. Bran, still worried, says they'll kill him, and Leaf says no, they killed him long ago. Some of you may think that 40 years is not enough time to be considered long ago. But to a child of Bran's age, 40 years is a very long time. They look at 40-year-old people as if they are ancient. But there are even more ways that line can be interpreted, such as meaning that maybe Sir Duncan the Tall was seen in dreams or prophecy, that due to his role in the story, he became a target to be killed. So maybe like Bloodraven had been watching for the coming of Bran all of those years, the same could be applied to Duncan. So for many years they knew of his death, the same way Jojen claims he knows when he is supposed to die through his green dreams. Clue number 4. Coldhands rides an elk. The antlers of the elk are huge, and they spread out looking very similar to the branches on a tree. This not only ties in with the weirwood tree that is in the Coldhands storyline, but also ties in with Sir Duncan the Tall, with his shield that he has Tansel Too Tall paint for him, inspired by the elm tree that he sleeps under in The Hedge Knight. Clue number 5. In The Mystery Knight, Sir Duncan the Tall competes in a tournament using the sigil of an unknown knight, described as a hanged man swinging grim and gray beneath a gallows tree, which later, as Coldhands the character, he is literally described as a mystery knight wearing blacks and grays, speaking with a rattled voice, and hides the lower part of his face and neck with a black scarf. He has most likely received some damage to his neck, which may be the reason his voice has been damaged, just like what happened to Catelyn Stark before she became Lady Stoneheart. Duncan has probably been hung, which will tie in with what is happening to Brienne and Podrick when they encounter Lady Stoneheart. Matter of fact, when Lady Stoneheart sends Brienne to get Jaime Lannister, he just so happens to be located at Pennytree, which is where Sir Arlen is from. Clue number 6. The Game of Thrones TV series even gave us a subtle clue back in the very first season. When old Nan is taking care of Bran after his fall, she tells him, "I could tell you a story about Sir Duncan the Tall. Those were always your favorite." In the books, she claims that Brandon the Builder was his favorite. The showrunners chose to change that particular line to give us a clue, because later, who does Bran come into contact with in the show? None other than Coldhands, whose secret identity for the books is Sir Duncan the Tall. Clue number 7. The TV series also gave us another clue with the weapon they chose for Coldhands to use against the Whites. He was shown swinging a fiery Morningstar type weapon, which can also be called a mace. This also ties in with Sir Duncan the Tall, as it is said that Duncan was better with a sword than with a lance, and even better with an axe or mace. Clue number 8. During the journey to the Three-Eyed Raven's cave, Bran is beginning to question who and what Coldhands really is. Bran knows he has killed the Night's Watchman out in the woods. He knows Coldhands is some dead thing and refers to him as a monster like in the old Nan stories. Coldhands answers with, "I'm your monster, Bran Stark." Coldhands being called a monster also ties in with Sir Duncan the Tall's younger years as a wild child running around with his friends in Flea Bottom of King's Landing. Duncan admits that they were little monsters and considered himself the worst of all. Clue number 9. While still answering questions for Mira and Bran, Coldhands is trying to explain why his hands are black. He states that once a man's heart stops beating, his hands and feet turn black as pudding. That particular descriptive word, pudding, also ties in with Sir Duncan the Tall's childhood little monster friend who went by the name Pudding. All of these are just a few of the clues that I have picked to present to you for this video. Before I wrap this video up, I wanted to reveal another mystery identity that I have known for some time that happens to tie in with all of my research. One that is going to take probably another video to discuss my theories for that character. I really have a ton of theories and I hold back so much, mostly because they are really hard to explain and can be very overwhelming for me. So here is my final clue for this video. Clue number 10. Let me break this other secret identity down as gently as I can. For a long time, we all wondered about the identity of the mystery man trapped in the weirwood tree roots that was known as the Three-Eyed Raven. I think it has been pretty much confirmed that it is actually Brynden Rivers, also known as Bloodraven. Now, follow that up with the Mystery Night's Watchman, which has been known as Coldhands, and now who hopefully I have provided enough clues for you to at least consider that it is Sir Duncan the Tall. So now, do you see any pattern yet? If not, let me help you with the next mystery identity that I believe I have solved with this image. Yes, the Night King. He hasn't been introduced to the books yet, but I think he will in time. Can you take a guess at his true identity? It's none other than King Aegon V, also known as Egg. That sweet little boy that we all get to know and see before this tragedy happens. They got all three: Bloodraven, Sir Duncan the Tall, and King Aegon. There is so much more to this story than the TV series can or has ever revealed. I have much and more that I could make videos on. Like I've said in my previous videos, the final season for the Game of Thrones TV series was absolutely not the actual end of this story. There is a much bigger war being fought and a bigger threat still coming. Winter is still coming. Every reader sees and imagines or interprets things different as the stories play out in their mind. Even if you do not agree with any of my ideas, I hope I have at least given you some form of entertainment today. If you liked this video, please hit the like button, subscribe, share, and leave me a comment. Let me know if you have questions or if there is any other Game of Thrones topic that you would like to hear about. Thank you so much for watching, and everyone have a wonderful day.